Good afternoon. I'll call to order the meeting of the New Ulm Public Utilities Commission for the month of February 2022. We have our consent agenda to deal with first.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
I'll second.
Discussion of the motion or any of the items on the consent agenda? All in favor of passing the items on the consent agenda indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, so that takes us to Employee of the Month.
Yes, Commissioners, Employee of the Month for the month of January was Dave Keene. He is the Chief Engineer for the Electric Production Department. Dave has been with the Electric Production Department for nearly 42 years. He's involved with every part of the steam and electrical production, from relief fireman to chief engineer. He has an unbelievable depth of knowledge of the whole plant and of the electrical grid. He has kept the power plant up to date in many ways. These last 2 years, he has improved the plant's efficiencies with new controls on the number 4 boiler, number 6 turbine, and number 2 boiler, and new VFDs on the number 1 boiler and the feed water pumps throughout the plant. Also, while keeping the plant running efficiently, he has hired many new employees these past 2 years. Dave is always willing to share his knowledge and will come in at any time to help with any problems that can arise in the electrical and steam system department. So congratulations to Dave Keene.
Thank you, Dave.
I'll make the motion to recognize Dave Keene, Chief Engineer for the Electrical Production Department, as Employee of the Month for January 2022.
I'll second.
Any discussion of the motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we want to recognize another employee for his years of service.
Yes, I'd like to recognize Bill Fisher from the Gas Department. He has turned in his retirement. Bill started as a fireman trainee in the Electric Production Department in January of 1987. He then transferred to the Gas Department as a gas service assistant in September of 1987 and was promoted to the gas service technician in March 1988. He has served in that position until his retirement on February 18th, 2022. So I'd like to wish Bill Fisher congratulations on his retirement.
I'll offer the resolution and waive the reading, commending Bill Fisher, Gas Service Technician in the Gas Department, for 35 years of service with the New Ulm Public Utilities Commission.
I'll second.
Any discussion of the resolution? Hearing none. Nicole, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Fingland,
Yes.
Commissioner Hillersheim,
Yes.
Commissioner Shaunis,
Yes.
Commissioner Visser,
Yes.
and President Heine.
Yes. Resolution is adopted. Okay, so I see. Next, we need to discuss the pay equity implementation report.
All right, thank you, President Heine and Commissioners. Shauna Boomgarten, HR Director. The Minnesota Department of Management and Budget requires that we submit a pay equity report every 3 years. This is to establish equitable relationships between male and females, job classifications, so that we pay them accordingly. We ran the numbers. We expect them to find that we are in compliance, and we'll get the official notice later this year. The pay equity rules require that each jurisdiction review and approve the compliance report that was attached. So I'm just requesting your approval today.
I have to, just out of interest, like.
Yeah, so the information that we submit to the state is we provide pay and benefit information for all male and females for effective December 31st, 2021. And honestly, then they take all the data, and as you see, there's 3 different tests, and it'll show whether we're in compliance or not. And if we're in compliance, we submit the report and they just get back to us on whether it's official. We actually had We contracted with David Drown and Associates, and Tessa Melvin was the one who submitted the report for us this year as it was part of our contract.
So you're just looking for approval to submit the data to them
Yes.
for review, and then we'll find out.
Yes,
what-
later on in the year, once they get through, there's obviously a lot of reports that are due now. It's done every 3 years. So I foresee probably in June or so that we'll get something showing whether we're approved for compliance.
Okay, thank you.
I'll offer the motion to authorize submission of the 2022 Pay Equity Implementation Report to the Minnesota Department of Management and Budget as required by the Local Government Pay Equity Act.
Second. Any discussion of the motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. Then we have an accounting decision. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is asking for approval of year-end budget carryovers for year ended December 31st, 2021. So this is an annual item that we bring to you each year. And what we do is we look at open POs at the end of the year and capital projects that have not been completed, take a look at the budgets remaining on those and carry over anything that's in progress. And you can see there that they are all listed by fund. So there's POs and a couple of capital projects that are there. So we are asking that you approve the year-end budget carryovers for the year ended December 31st, 2021.
I'll make the motion to approve the year-end budget carryovers for the year ended December 31, 2021.
I'll second.
Any discussion of the motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, so low-pressure steam pipe for the Methodist Church area. right?
Yes, in the fall of 2021, it was discovered that the service at the First United Methodist Church was leaking. With the lead time on steam pipe, there was no way that we could get that completed in the fall. And so we were able to put a temporary service in there at the time. This is the pipe to get that service replaced. It's got a significant lead time, so we want to get it ordered now so that we can start as soon as it gets here. So it's from R.E. Carlson in the amount of $46,705.
We discussed this at budgets.
Yeah, this is a budgeted item, yes.
So I'll approve the purchase of low-pressure steam piping from R.E. Carlson in the amount of $46,705.
I'll second.
Any discussion of the motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. North Side Substation Relay Replacement Project. Is that Dan?
Yep. This would be our last relay replacement project for the North Side Substation. We're replacing as many as 15 electrical mechanicals with 3 Schweitzer relays, which we'll be able to, in the future, plug directly into our SCADA system with the more modern communication system. This project has went a little bit over budget, but like I said, usually we're doing 2 Schweitzers. This year we're doing 3 Schweitzers to finish the project out. And last year with their 90,000, they came in about $8,000 under budget. So we'll probably come in slightly under budget, but it'll still probably come in over that 90,000. And we typically have our staff install them, and then another company come in and independently test them before they're put into service. This will allow us to do the RTU project, as I've talked about in the action item, like we will be doing on our next item on the agenda for the Center Street substation. Any questions?
$125, I was confused about the budget. It's going to be over budget, but it's under budget. I might just have
It's
the wrong
over, but we budgeted 90,000. If you look in the budget, their quote or their estimate this year is 125,000. Well, last year we did a similar project that we had budgeted 90,000 and it came in at 82,000.
So
So
there's the potential that it could
they
be.
have a
Less than their quote,
little
right?
quick.
But at this point, right now,
We'll plan on
it's a project that is over budget. This is one of the items that has been identified in the infrastructure study that we did on the electric distribution system. It's antiquated technology and wanting to get all of these cleared up, so.
I'll make the motion to authorize the city manager to accept the proposal from Power Systems Engineering, Inc., PSE, to develop plans and specs, acquire and oversee the replacement of Unit 1, 4, and 3A electromechanical relays in the amount of $125,400.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, so the next three items on the agenda are related, so,
Somewhat, yeah.
okay. So do you want to just present on those, and then maybe we'll do all the motions after Dan's done?
Okay, the first item is the RTU at the Center Street replacement project at the Center Street Substation. This portion of the project is actually under budget. We had budgeted 135,000, it's coming in at 105 right now. When you read our study from last year, the PSE reminded me that our system is beyond obsolete, having been originally designed in '96, so the ACS hardware is obsolete. And when you start drilling down, it's only set up to run on XP or older operating systems, which XP is another one that industry-wide, everybody is trying to phase out because of its security issues. So this is, again, referring to the relays, why we're doing the relay projects, to implement this one so that we can systematically go through and update our system to have a more secure and better SCADA system for the electric department. Next project is a transmission line bypass for Center Street. This will allow us to take the Center Street substation completely offline, and when fully implemented, completely kill that buswork. So all the structural steel, everything will be dead within the chain link fence. So our staff can take and replace, rebuild, or do any work they need to do without having a major outage or major disruption and no generation running. Because this will allow us to take the 69 all the way down to the south side substation, use those two transformers to backfeed the 13-2 bus along with our north side. Other than working directly on the stuff that's feeding the transmission line, we shouldn't have to run generation like we had to with the last transmission project. And by doing this project, it'll allow us to do the last one. The breaker is put in 69. It's all of our electricity for Center Street goes through that breaker. As I say in the action item, the corporation doesn't exist anymore. Nobody manufactures the parts for this breaker. It is well beyond its useful life. And with a fully implemented transmission bypass, our staff will be able to replace this breaker, so we'll just be purchasing the breaker and the design, and then some independent testing before commissioning to make sure everything works so we don't have a major event. So with that, if there's any questions on any one of these three, please.
If I could just make a comment on the 69 bypass, or the transmission bypass. You know, this was an item that was identified by staff, and really, one of the good purposes of this project is really to increase system reliability. And so I think it's important that it allows us more flexibility and functionality with the two substations on each side of town to be able to basically feed between each other. So it's it'll be a good addition to the electric distribution system.
So unless people have any further discussion, we would first need a motion on the agenda item 3.6, Center Street Substation Remote Terminal Unit Replacement.
I'll offer the motion to authorize the city manager to accept the proposal from Power Systems. Oh, am I on the, no, I'm on the wrong one.
Yeah.
Or did we do that first one? We did. Okay,
They're all for PSE, if that helps.
yeah. So are we on the one, the Center Street substation? That's,
Yes.
okay.
You.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I'll try it again. I'll authorize the city manager to accept the proposal from Power Systems Engineering Incorporated, PSE, to develop plans and specs, acquire and oversee replacement of the remote terminal unit, RTU, at the Center Street substation in the amount of $105,000.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. So the next we would have agenda item 3.7.
So I'll offer the motion to authorize the city manager to accept the proposal from Power System Engineering, Inc. to develop plans and specs, set the bid date, and to advertise the bids for the transmission line bypass at Center Street Substation in the amount of $71,500.
Second.
Any discussion of that motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Then finally, agenda item 3.8.
I'll make the motion to authorize the city manager to accept the proposal from Power System Engineering, PSE, to develop plans and specs, acquire and oversee the replacement of a 69 kV at the Center Street substation in the amount of $38,000.
I'll second.
Any discussion of that motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Now we have a software upgrade from Mainstar.
Yes, President Heine, Commissioners. A while back in 2020, a proposal was brought to you to do a technology work plan, and we were looking at the feasibility of adding some additional asset management function to the utility. One of the purposes of the technology plan was to identify if the current software, if an upgrade to that current software would meet what the utility needs, or if we needed to go outside. The technology work plan identified that, in fact, Mainstar current work orders and inventory software is probably the most efficient and best way to go forward. So we've worked with Mainstar to develop what it is that we would like to do. So this is the proposal to do the software upgrade. Basically, what that means is it's taking the software from version 12 to version 15. And by doing that, version 15 will actually be cloud-based. So that will allow us to have some greater flexibility in the software and the items that are offered to us. And so with the upgrade, we were able to actually add some additional modules that we wanted that were not available to us in the older version. One of the modules is to add the GIS integration module, and I believe when we did the technology plan, there was a discussion about how the two interacting together would benefit the utility. So, you know, basically our work order system or our asset management system will talk to our GIS system so that we can have all the information talking to each other and get a better system. The second module we wanted to add was the mobile work order module. That will allow our work order system to actually be used in the field. We're hoping that will create some efficiency where rather than our field workers going out and writing everything on a piece of paper, it comes back and it's written, re-entered by clerical staff. Some of this stuff can be captured right in the field so we can get better data, more accuracy, that type of thing, and be more efficient. And so just as a reminder, this software is going to be used throughout the utility, so it's going to be used in all the departments. And it's going to basically be used to capture all the information that we need according to project costs. It'll include inventory costs, equipment, outside contractors, and payroll, as well as any information that is appropriate to the asset itself. This is a carryover item that you just approved in the amount of $150,000. And so we're just asking that, that we ask that you approve this going forward.
I'll make the motion to authorize the city manager to accept and sign the proposal from Mainstar for software upgrade to version 15 and the installation of mobile work order and GIS modules in the amount of $118,500.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Finally, we have our report of claims for the month.
I'll offer the motion to accept the list of claims paid in the amount of $3,878,959.66.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And now we wanted to discuss the possibility of scheduling a work session to discuss, we've brought up in the past the scope of issues that need to be brought before the commission at meetings and versus decisions that could be made without the commission's input, and we might want to discuss establishing a policy for that.
Right. I think, at the last meeting, we kind of discussed that. We talked about different options. My suggestion would be a work session where we can kind of talk about what you would like to see, what policies you'd like to make, and then we could potentially bring it to the commission for approval. I had thought potentially we could do it after the March meeting. Maybe just take some time after that to discuss it, go from the meeting into a work session. We did, at the last time we talked about it, we talked about the city council potentially looking at similar policies. They will not meet prior to us. So I guess, the question would be, if you want to meet and suggest what, obviously you don't have to do what the city council does. If you want some consistency with the city council, that could happen too. I guess I'd like to get your input or your thoughts as to if you would like to meet next month, or
I will be out of town.
you'll be out of town. Okay.
Yeah.
We would be looking at the city council bringing it at the April work study session. So we would get some direction on what council would like as far as policies and procedures being brought to them. And if you wanted to wait till April, we would have that information so you can mirror kind of what they've done. But as Chris had mentioned, you're able to kind of do what you want on your own without city council feedback.
Did
There's
we talk
no-
about having a joint working session together and figuring out those, or was that something else that we?
We
Okay.
can do that. If you wanted to attend the work study session in April, you'd be more than welcome to come to that and kind of participate in that conversation as well. Or if you really wanted to hold a joint work study session, we can arrange that to happen as well.
I mean, in theory, couldn't we just call that the joint work study session?
Yeah, you could.
Rather than saying it's a city council or a PUC, it's just a joint. Because I agree. I think we should be somewhat aligned on policies. Because from what I recall, we're talking about things that are improved in the budget, that are under a certain amount, that won't have to come across as
Yeah.
necessarily as a line item on the.
Well, the only difference, in looking at what the city council's budget is, or city council's agenda is, it's very different than the utilities agenda, I think. I don't know that they have as many projects and things coming before them. A lot of it is, asking for variances or licenses or donations. So in some respects, what you would maybe be wanting to talk about would potentially maybe be different than what the council necessarily would.
Yeah, we kind of serve a different role. We're more of the board of the directors of a company.
Right.
Yeah, so,
Authorize,
but I also agree that we don't want, we've got city employee, we don't want people operating under different sort of frameworks, we don't want to create problems.
Right.
You know, maybe if, if the council meets prior to you, and then you could, adopt some of what they want to do, and then you could do your own. That would be a thought too, or, if you want to attend, we can
Well, I
certainly
think
do
would
that
work
as a
out well,
joint too.
I think, yeah, like you mentioned, there's a lot of differences, drastic differences in the agenda, so that may work out better where we can maybe pull some pieces that better align, and then leave the rest.
So if their work study session was April, would they then vote at their next meeting to approve? Or could we look to say, okay, they have theirs, we have ours, and then maybe there's a little bit of meeting of the minds before either of us adopt?
Yeah, because we'd have to look to make sure what they want to do, falls within state statute, kind of weed out some of the stuff like, no, we have to have this done. Kind of just looking at cleaning what we bring, when they approve the budget, there's stuff, items that they approve, and then we bring it back to them literally the first meeting of the month.
Right.
Please approve these purchases. So cleaning some of that up potentially, and they may want to approve that stuff. It's just, hey, what do you want to do? And then we can bring that to. I could do a presentation at your work study session or at the meeting on that.
Yeah, so that's just my thought, like rather than, we haven't done this forever. So rather than because city council meets every 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
So rather than them having a work study session and then 2 weeks later approving before we can even talk about it, maybe letting them have their work session as they had planned, then you come present to us what their thought process are. We will provide our input, which might not change or just add on to the things that are more affecting to us. And then we go from there so that we have some alignment before we've locked something down from a city standpoint with a vote. And then having to re-vote to change it.
So, so the work session for city council is the first.
Second meeting.
Second meeting. So that would work really well because it would be a week before the utility,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah, that'd be fine then.
Yeah, so if we wanted to do it after the April meeting,
So the 26th, is that?
if that would work for everyone,
Looks good on my calendar. 2 months out.
I know. Okay,
April
Okay, so
26th.
we'll have something set up and then it'll be right after the PUC meeting,
Okay.
so.
Anything else anybody wants to address before we adjourn? Nope. Okay, then we're adjourned.